Hi, I'm Andrea. I'm the groomer from Alon Modulo Zanotelli. My favorite foreign equine product is NutriCalm. We use it on a daily basis. It helps our horses to stay focused and calm. It's a very good product.
October is upon us, listeners, and we have still got a few big shows coming your way. But the first of the big ones in October is Boekelo. And this was actually the show, listeners, that was our very first preview show, I want to say 7 years ago, back in 2016, back in the day when we were all learning what podcasts were. Dee, we've come a long way since Boekelo 2016. I still remember the pure feeling of terror when we came on to record.
I don't remember the first show.
Do you not?
Not really, no.
I'm sure it was pretty much the first show.
I still enjoy it as much, I think, the previews. You know, it's what it's about. It's what this whole thing is about. For me, all of the other shows, particularly Alpha, but all of the other shows, they've all served different purposes and they're all around... like review is obviously great as well, where you get to, particularly the closer you can get the review to the actual event, the better. Mm-hmm. You know, if you can get, when you actually want to talk about Piggy March winning badminton, is probably driving home because you've got all that, you know, you want someone else to talk to. That was a big thing.
Pent up emotion.
Yeah. And often, you know, like, I don't know if I guess it's the case with lots of eventing fans, but in my house, Denise doesn't want to talk about Liverpool being beaten by Spurs with a Matip goal after, you know, a VAR decision that shouldn't have been and 2 sendings off that probably shouldn't have been. Like, you know, she's sitting looking at me vacantly thinking, I don't care. And I'm trying to explain to her. And I suppose for this podcast and back then, and what I hope is still the case all these years later, is firstly that community piece where you actually have someone else to listen to or to, I don't know, engage with. Someone who's like, no, I need more content from that thing that just happened that no one else wants to talk to me about. And equally, as you say, the preview. I think the preview is what sport is about. It's what excites, it's what gets it all going. Obviously, the live event is amazing, but the live event is it. You don't need anyone else to kind of engage you with that. Like, what makes Boekelo exciting is the hype and the fun and the will they, won't they, how's this going to play out? There's how many people? Like, we looked at our list there.
I was gonna say, so Boekelo adds a whole different dimension to it as well, because there's well over 100 and I think there's 114 entered at the time of recording. So for a 4-star long format, that's like a massive entry field as well. So we have got a lot to pick through, listeners.
Is that all one class then?
All one class. Just
well, I know that
they don't
split, but 114 that's the biggest.
It must be the biggest 4-star long, I think. Blenheim will have come close a few times. But Boekelo traditionally, I think, can get up around the 100 mark. It's always a big entry field. So there's a lot to kind of look at. And it's also one of those fields that sometimes throws up a fairly surprising winner. And also a few...
Does it though? I mean, you've got one example there recently. Was it Hey Tom or something? That one, we didn't see that one coming.
One in 2016, I think it was. No, there have been a few kind of surprises in there.
Like London 52 and...
well, no, but then this was the other thing I was going to say.
Samurai de Toe
won in 2018 and then obviously went on to be brilliant. Sekatinka has won. London 52 has won here, and actually... Bulana, Nicola Wilson has won here. There have been some really, really cool horses. Kimbo, Andrew Nicholson won here in 2012 and then went on to win, I think it was Kentucky the following spring as well. Tim Price and Happy Boy won here last year. Tim is back this year. We're going to talk about his chances in a minute. But first of all, I have to say a very, very, very big hello to a man whose voice we haven't heard in a little while. It feels like it's been too long. Spike the Vet, how the devil are you?
Do you know what? I'm on the recovery mission. I felt a bit under the weather for the last few weeks, a bit knackered. This time of year is always absolutely soul-destroyingly busy. And had a bit of an epic youth championships down in Italy, which was hot and tiring and everything about that. And then came back to a sick child and I was a bit under the weather. So I feel as though I've been battling, but I think I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And I've got a little bit of a holiday planned and work is good. So it's nice to sit down and actually get excited about Boekelo. I feel as though since Burley, it's all passed me by a little bit. I had a wonderful Burley, had a great weekend up there, and then it was then eyes down and really focused on the youth riders and the youth champs. And so, yeah, I've been on a bit of a tunnel vision. I've been like, oh, what's been happening? Oh, Blenheim happened. Oh, well, I hope that was all right. And then Osberton happened, and I think that they're all right. So, yeah, bring on Boekelo. Bring on Boekelo. 114 competitors. That is a lot of partying and a lot of beer.
And a lot of competition. Dee's like, are we going to talk about the partying and everything?
No.
We can't talk about the partying. It's Boekelo. We're not listeners.
Modern world, not allowed fun. It's all very serious. They're all professionals. No partying allowed.
They have a great time, listeners. Trust me. I saw somebody actually going to like a cash and carry or something and coming out with a massive amount of booze, like a crate of beer. And I thought, why are you taking the beer to Boekelo? Boekelo has the beer. You don't need to take it. Isn't it the Grolsch factory? Is it the Grolsch factory?
Right next door to the Grolsch factory. Yeah,
literally. Like you can almost smell it, listeners. Okay, let's talk about.
Can I ask you one thing on that?
Yeah.
I know we're not there this year, so it'll be interesting. I think that a party event like that at the end of the year is fantastic for the sport, for actually a group of people who, Spike, you're alluding to it there, but like we maybe didn't realize it when we were a bit younger going, but actually like it's a hard sport. It's a tough sport. They're on the road all the time. They don't all see each other all the time. And actually having an event where socializing is so much to the fore, I think it's great. My question for you two.
I think I might have got older, but the lorry park has changed. Maybe this is a winter conversation.
No, that's what I was going to ask.
The lorries have changed, haven't they? Like everybody has Sky TV in their lorries. Everybody has, a very comfortable place.
But when I was out on the road going to a lot of these events, much more than I do now, I suppose, different life and different lifestyle. But the characters that were there, like the likes of Toddy and and the Kiwi contingent and the parties that were going on, and maybe we've all just got a little bit older, and maybe everyone is just that little bit more serious.
Well, he was pretty old then.
I mean, he was old then as well, in fairness. But
he was still bringing the party.
The partying that used to go on there, and the partying and as I say, as you were saying at Boekelo, they used to it very much felt like it was the end of the season, and then there was always Poe where a few people would go to, but and the Leon again where a few people would go to, but it always was like the end of the season that everyone just let their hair down, and it was always a great event. But yeah, I mean, hopefully it's the same this year. I'm sure it is. The parties are epic. Everyone get watching on social media the Tuesday night party.
I don't know how much of the Tuesday night party gets put on social media. It's the groom's party, it's not Tuesday night.
You follow the right people, guys. You will find the right pictures.
Do you think it's I think that it's different. I know you're alluding to it, Spike, but I think Boekelo as a party event remains and is a very healthy thing. But actually sport is quite different. Like you talk about the professionalism, the fine margins. But even in 6 years, Nicole, that's what I think is interesting. It's not just that sport changes. Like,
but then otherwise, the thing is, you've got to think about how does a little event in Holland on land that is shared between about 37 different landowners or something, it's absolutely mental event, attract 114 competitors. That's the thing. It's a great event, but look at the competition out there for 4-star longs, in Northern Europe and even in the UK with the numbers that are in Ireland and things like that. And it is the way they look after owners and they look after the riders, and it is a great week. And maybe it's not quite the same chaos as it used to be. That's why they can attract. That's why they attract the entries. And yes, it's the Nations Cup as well. But people would they queue up to want to go there because it's a great event. And good on them. Good on them for running such a great event.
I'm all for that. I totally agree with you. The way to care for people, the way to present the sport, they go to huge effort, and it's got a great tradition, all that stuff. Not taking away from any of that. All I'm saying is, even up somewhere, I was at Dublin for the jump-in, and seeing show jumping riders have a pint during a class. Just a jumper, I watched them having a pint during a class. Mental. I don't think you'd see that in our sport really anymore. Like, I don't think you do. Like, I could be wrong, but I don't think you see that type of looseness. That I think that feels very much of a different era. Like, even Spike, you think football in the 90s. it's not that long ago, but like it, Tony Adams, Paul Merson, the whole Arsenal stuff. You had like the whole United team and Keane and McClare and Paul McGrath. It's a different world. And I think eventing, in terms of people's approach to it, you're much more likely to have videos of rider fitness than you are of people tops off in Boekelo. And I know that you'll have a bit of both, but I know that you'll see a bit of both. But actually, I think you're way closer to the rider fitness, rider yoga, rider mindfulness than you are to the tops off stuff anymore. And I actually think that's in 10 years. Less.
How much do we think social media has actually played a part in, like, yes, there's always that sort of having a bit of fun and everything else, but actually what goes on at Boekelo, generally speaking, somewhere along the line gets put on social media. And I think people have become a lot more aware of their lives being documented. And from a professional standpoint, sponsors, owners, supporters, actually you can't afford to be going wild because it doesn't look great. You're there to do a job.
I agree with that, but also I think owners, like all those riders 10 years ago, all had brands backing them as well. But actually society kind of changed a little bit where actually that's, I don't know, there's not the same acceptance of like, walking around drunk. Like people are kind of like, I don't know if I want my brand to be aligned with that. Whereas I think it's more how we view it. People see that differently than we did.
Doesn't take a lot to get cancelled these days, does it? I'm not saying anyone's going to get cancelled in Boekelo, but it really doesn't take a lot to get cancelled. Can we dive in too? Because I think everybody's made some pretty good points there, and I think it has changed even in the last 6 years. Can we dive into a few of the kind of ones to watch this weekend? Because I am going to start with somebody who has won here previously. They're the Prediction Centre favourites, Laura Collett and Capo. 23% win chance, clear out in front actually. The next win chance is 10%, and then to be honest, it drops away pretty quickly and it's very, very, very open. So De Capo has been here and actually gone very, very well previously. He seems to love it in Boekelo, and Laura's brought him back again to have another tilt. Thoughts on her adding another Boekelo title to her tally?
I'll dive in on that then. I think strong. I mean, the numbers would back it up. It's interesting what she's done, isn't it? Then, he went to Le Moulin and, she stepped him up to 5-star, which, given his supreme 4-star form, she was always going to have a bit of a bash at it. And Le Moulin would have always seemed like the most obvious 5-star to have a go at in a more of a sort of a 4.5-star sense. And then since then, she's just running around OIs before here, just give him confidence and run fast and won bundles of them. I think 4 of them, 4 out of 5 or something like that. One at Cornbury, went to Little Downham in the OI, and obviously just trying to get that cross country confidence back into him, because not getting round a 5-star Le Moulin would have probably been a bit of a worry that it's a knock for confidence. And I suppose that's the only thing that I would consider as a concern for this week, is that he's done Le Moulin. Well, he hasn't done it. He tried to get around the Moulin 5-star and then only run around intermediate since. Is that fully prepped enough? Has it got him back in a good place? He didn't have to learn anything as such, but has it got him back into a good place confidence-wise? Can't get a better pilot. I think that's probably fair enough. That's probably that would be my only concern. He'll do superb dressage. He's a beautiful horse, great moving horse. Jumps well on the last day. It's going to be we've had a little peek at the weather, listeners, and we think it's going to be dry. It's going to be a good ground Boekelo. So, the time test, it can be fetlock deep there. It has been in the years I've been there. It's felt like a war zone sometimes when I've been there, how heavy the ground can get. But if it's a good ground Boekelo, I think the time's gettable. That'll suit him. You just got to hope that he's got his cross-country mind on, and she's got him back in a good place, having had the blip at Le Moulin. But yeah, he's a strong favourite. Not only is he a strong favourite, I was going down the list behind him, and I slightly struggled to find anything to beat him. So you're really only putting it on him having a blip, to be fair.
Yeah.
That's your preview show.
Done. Full stop.
Listeners, thanks very much for tuning in. Do join us on social media. I actually think he's going back to his sort of comfort zone as such. Although interestingly, when he first stepped up to 4-star long level, I remember he was sort of favourite at Bramham one year, and he went to, I think, Tattersalls when it was Tattersalls before Mill Street, and he was kind of among the favourites there, and he took a little while to deliver at 4-star long level. But I think Laura knows actually now what he enjoys, and I think this has very much been a target as a end of season goal for him. It would be big FEI world ranking points for Laura if he has a good result here this weekend, which obviously she's been picking up some good points elsewhere with Lemoulin and London 52 and the like. Laura also has Sportsfield Freelance, which is a really interesting ride from Aoife Clarke. So Laura's been deputising on a few of Aoife's rides while she's been off games. She's had some really, really good results with both Kalahari and Fetige de Rouge. But Sportsfield Freelance, 10-year-old, actually won an open intermediate. They've only run twice together, I think. They won an open intermediate at Cornbury on a ridiculous score. It was very, very good. And then they got a qualifying run at Little Downham, which very much felt like a sort of a tick box to come to Boekelo. Bit of an unknown quantity, but will be very interesting to see them go. Laura's definitely had some real proof that she's got on well with Aoife's rides at sort of top level international competition over the last few months. So be interesting to see them. Brits. Let's talk about a few of the other Brits.
Go on, Dee. It's your favourite subject. Go on, crack on.
My favourite subject is what the natural running order. I mean, I don't think we have a running order because we're relaxed.
We're going totally rogue, listeners. We're just going relaxed.
Why? Just talk to me about your thinking behind not going to the main challenger to London 52 or to Gapo. So.
We can go to the main challenger. Why not? You obviously just want to talk about Yulia Korovsky. That's what we're actually getting to here, listeners.
I just think from a sporting point of view, I mean, these two have gone head to head at this venue before with some of the
riders.
Yes, and they've been 1 and 2 here, maybe twice. I think they've been 1 and 2 and 2 and 1 with their horses, and the fact that they're 1 and 2 in the prediction centre means for me it's all wrapped up neatly before we go to the Brits.
Go with Nicole 21, Yulia Korovsky, a horse who has not been out of the top 10 in his last. Well, he's only ever once been out of the top 10 with Yulia anyway. Got about a dozen runs, something like that. Very, very, very good record. Stepped up to 4-star this year, and have been sub 25 on I think 3 occasions.
You don't see that. I don't think they've done too many longs though together.
It's a first long format 4-star for the horse.
3-star only longs though. I don't think they've done that.
Yeah, they did Stragom. They won Stragom last year, back end of the year.
Okay.
But I mean, this is a horse that actually I think.
Oh, that was with Sophia Russell, though, was it not the 2-star long?
No, it was with Julia.
Oh, that was
the 3-star. Yeah,
2-star long the year before.
I mean, it's only done 2 long formats and it's won both of them.
If anyone can lay it down to Miss Collett in the first phase, I think it will be her old nemesis and the reigning Olympic champ rider. She is. I think there's a great story in the two of these. They are both very humble, self-made, hardworking, and they're both kind of leaders, I would say, of the sport in their country. Would you say that's fair? They're popular. No?
No. Who would be the leader of the sport in Germany, would you?
Julia would be now, yeah. I mean, Ingrid on the way out to some degree.
Bit harsh.
Click that up, Rosie. Click that up, Rosie. We can have that in an intro.
Well, talk to me about Ingrid.
He loves an audio bed. We'll
guys, Ingrid in eventing post Hail Bob. It's not happening. You know, she's gone with Franciscus to dressage. Michael Young, he's here obviously with Fisher Chipmunk, but he's really highly dedicated.
He's not here.
No. But no. I would say that Julia is the Olympic champ, the coach of the underage programs.
She's not doing that anymore, I don't think.
She's still involved. She's still involved in various kind of programs.
She wasn't at the champs this year, and I don't think she was.
She was at Blenheim. So they had Calvin Bockman and Libissa Lubicut came over to Blenheim as part of they'd won an under 25 development program over in Germany, and she came, and part of the prize was the fact they came over to Blenheim to compete with Julia, sort of training them and their cross country coach as well. I'm just going to put it out there. I agree that, I mean, she's the Olympic champion. She's got to be kind of leading the way in lots of respects. But elephant in the room, we haven't seen Amanda Bonneville this year at all, going into the Olympics next year. She's got 2 really nice 9-year-olds coming through, Nicole 21 being one of them. Yeah. This would be an Olympic qualification if she can actually tick the box here this weekend.
I think you're right. I don't like. I mean, I don't even think it is an elephant in the room. I don't know anything about it, but my gut feeling is that you won't see Amanda Bonneville now at the Olympics.
I asked her about it at Blenheim, and she.
Well done.
I know, it was live as well. It was great. Go back, watch it back and listen. But basically, she said that she had a couple of sort of niggly problems. She was very, very sort of lovely in the way she put it, of sort of that if she told Amanda Bonneville she could come back for the Olympics next year, she was sure she'd be fit and sound and ready to go, but basically that the horse owed her nothing.
Ooh.
I didn't really.
That doesn't sound great, does it?
I didn't really get the feeling
as well.
she was going to. But having said that, right, if you looked at her campaign towards Tokyo, she wasn't qualified that year either. And she came out at Saumur, picked up a qualification in, I think, end of April, beginning of May, went to Le Moulin for the German National Championships. And then basically, I think, did she go to Aachen maybe? And then went to Tokyo.
Yeah, good point. Three on a team.
And literally just came through. So I think they'll peak her for the right time. I don't think that they're going to run her unnecessarily. And maybe that's the tactic they're going to take again this year. But
I think I think the other big thing on that, the same as when Amanda Bonneville went, Ingrid Klimke got injured at Barbarocco and wasn't able to go.
So she might
and Mandy wouldn't have gone. She wouldn't have gone because Via Montemats or the other Sandra horse, Let's Dance. There was Via, and there was. I don't know, but I don't think
Julia wouldn't have gone ahead of Ingrid, and then Ingrid.
You look at her.
Well, I see.
She wouldn't have gone ahead of Halebob. You couldn't.
Halebob was off at this point, wasn't he?
Halebob was fine. It was Ingrid. No problem. Oh, yeah, you're right. Pertoni test event.
Yeah. Anyway, basically, this is one to really keep an eye on for the future, and has actually had some seriously good form. She had the really nice Iro de Country at Blenheim, and they fell in the water, and she was very, very humble about it, and I think sort of said, they'll make kind of a reroute and plan. I half expected him to pop up on the entry list for Boekelo, but he hasn't, so we might see him maybe somewhere before the end of the season. But this is a really, really smart horse, won at the level, won the Nations Cup actually in Arville on a pretty good finishing score, has finished sub 30 at 4-star level on a couple of occasions, which is pretty decent. So look, very much one to look out for. And I think there's a few of the other German horses actually on the start list. The German team actually have had some really good results here. Sophie Loib has won here. The likes of Julia Meston have picked up good wins here as well. Emma Brasso is Dark Desire GS Spike, or would be one that I'm sure you're very familiar with coming up through the young rider ranks. Is that fair?
Yeah, very much so. I think the German contingent are sort of interesting in a slightly almost in a different way, that there are some sort of not a generation, but there's some younger ones coming through, and I think Emma Brasso is someone that I have seen competing very successfully through the young riders. And actually, she's taken a really good step forward in the last couple of years. I mean, it is a big step going from, the young rider ranks to the senior ranks, going from 3-star to 4-star. But she'll be, I think she's a great combination. They did Boekelo last year, came top 25, performed well. She'll be looking at, hopefully, really consolidating that. And I'm sure she'll be looking for a top 10 result. They stepped up to 5-star at Le Moulin this year, which was, again, another interesting thing to see a young German do. It doesn't seem to be quite their modus operandi to be doing 5 stars, and there's a few of them that have. I think it's interesting that we've got Anna Seema here with Butts Avondale as well, another horse, another combination. They went to Kentucky, didn't they? And, another, a young female rider from Germany that took that step up to 5-star for the experience and for the knowledge and the challenges that comes with. So I think there's an interesting group of Germans, and I think the one thing that I suppose I've been a little bit vocal about is just seeing what has been underneath that very elite. Their cream is very much at the top, and it has been there for a number of years. But I think seeing the likes of, I think you mentioned Calvin Bachmann, you got Emma Brousseau, you got Jerome Robin, and Anna Seema, Sophie Loib, Annalena Schaaf. There's some
really wondering if you're going to get to the champ. Annalena,
strong riders coming through there. Annalena Schaaf there, she's got the horse that she came individual silver at the Young Rider Europeans in 2021. I mean, admittedly, there were no Brits
Junior
there,
European Championship gold medalist as well.
Yeah, and this is the first furlong for the horse. He's an older horse.
It's the first furlong for Annalena as well, actually.
Yeah. So, I think, again, it's a really interesting group of riders. I'm interested to see how they go. I don't think I can't see any of them getting in the top 5. But I think
no German in the top 5.
I could see Julia with Nicole, but I don't think I'd see any of the others.
Yeah, fair enough.
Probably
no. I think that's.
But yeah, but that's what I think. Big picture. I do get a little bit big picture, particularly this time of year. But I think that there's very much an interesting group of riders coming through, another wave coming up, and it's, I think that we've often talked about what's bubbling under the surface behind the likes of Julia, Ingrid, Mickey, and Sandra. To me, I think they're great. There's definitely some really strong development there, and as I say, considering they haven't really been doing too many 5-stars, it's interesting that a few of them, have been picked and chosen to, and funded to go and do a few. So, I think the Brits can't be sitting on their high horse for too long with the success they've got. I think some of the other nations are really starting to show a new generation coming through.
I would say that I'm actually going to throw the Frisbee over to Ireland, because there are a few Irish combinations here that actually I think we should be watching pretty closely. I'm going to start with saying Claire Abbott and Julant. And this was a horse that would have been well sort of in contention for going to probably Protoni, to be honest. There'd been top 15 individually in Avanche in the Europeans in 2021. They came out 2022 and actually went to Badminton, jumped a brilliant clear round at Badminton. They were absolutely phenomenal. Just 4 time penalties, so 10 seconds over the time, had to withdraw on the final day. And then the horse missed the rest of 2022 and a good bit of 2023 and has just been out a couple of times internationally since. But they won the 3-star short in Lisgarven and they were second Ballindennisk in the 4-star short. This is a big combination for Ireland to have back on the books.
Absolutely. She's a rider that I admire a lot.
Is she still a maths teacher?
She'll always be a maths teacher.
Okay, once a maths teacher, always a maths teacher.
Were you asking that as whether she's expanded to geography, or were you thinking about whether she's still teaching?
No, is she still teaching? I mean, is she still juggling the eventing alongside the teaching?
I think she's making so much money selling horses to the Brits that she's like, you know what?
Hey, she sells them elsewhere as well.
That Europrince, by the way, is still one of my favourite ever event horses. Oh,
I tell you what, she's a very sound, down to earth girl, and actually, it's difficult. It's difficult to continually produce horses and stay at the top level and sell a bit. You see it with riders all the time, top riders. It's not that they go missing for years, but actually they kind of feel like they do, because it's those little cycles that have to happen in a normal yard, unless you're a very big professional rider. And I'm talking even Claire Abbott, who's been to multiple championships, Rio. She went to the World Games 2014, Rio 2016, Tokyo. She was in Tokyo, I think. Multiple championships for Ireland this decade. Even that is still hard to keep having another horse, the next horse. Sell one, keep one coming. Hard game. What I admire about this girl is she keeps bringing them through.
She also sold No Fear to the Japanese team, to Yoshieki Iowa, the end of last year. Had a great top 20 at Boekelo and then sold the horse to Japan. That's
the goal.
Yeah.
But, I admire her. She's cool. She's sound. She's really down to earth. And the whole the whole family will travel and get it done. I don't know how it'll go. I mean, it's all right. I thought it was kind of nice of Spike to include, to kind of try and get us excited about how the Germans bubbling something underneath the surface would mean that the Brits couldn't rest under high horse. God, I think the Brits are, when you look, I think the Brits are a long way clear of anything. I've been honest, I think there is a bit of a movement happening in America where you could find a bit of a challenge coming. There's a few horses there that I think could present a challenge to the Brits. I think it's hard work to think that you'll have enough talent. For all of the young talent that we can see in Germany, all these Brits have second strings, third strings, fourth strings of the next wave coming through. There's so much. It's such a treadmill of talent now in Britain. I can't. I find it hard to.
A treadmill of talent.
Don't you? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, no, I think that's a really cool expression.
It's relentless. Like it feel and like okay, we all know it won't last. Like Germany felt relentless for that first part of the decade.
Yeah, give it. These things are cyclical. Give it a few years. Give it a few years. You know, like
it's not quite as relentless as it was going into Tokyo. If you think that British squad going into Tokyo, there feels like there has been a slight changing of the guard.
But the others have all dropped as well as the problem knickers.
Yeah, probably. I think the US are, and we'll talk about the US here because they've actually got a really cool team coming over for the Nations Cup, and a real kind of mix of young horses, young riders, but some really sort of experienced riders as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. I just want to pick up on one or two more Irish before we go on, though. Torrig McCarthy, individual silver medalist from the World Championships back in 2018, has sort of been looking for his next superstar to kind of replace Mr. Chunky. And actually, he's got a really, really smart 9-year-old in a horse called Pomp and Circumstance, who was 6th at Blenheim in the 8 and 9-year-old class. Jumped a lovely double clear. Their show jumping round, I think, was one of the highlights in the show jumping for me from that class. But interestingly, did a 31.8 in the dressage at Blenheim. That knocked pretty much 10 marks off the test they did the week previously at Blair Castle, or a couple of weeks previously at Blair Castle. So
this is an interesting horse. So this horse bred by the Goff family. Rachel Goff is an equine vet in Newbury. She worked for me in Lambourne for a period of time. And Rachel evented herself up to 4-star, I want to say, with a horse called Bowhouse Mandolin, which then went to badminton with Georgie Goss, as she is now.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the dam of Pomp and Circumstance. And I think there's a full sibling out there as well. So, yeah, this is their homebreds. So lovely family.
Oh, cool.
Real supporters of eventing. And, yeah, here you are. A little bit of breeding background on that horse.
Love that. There's somebody else going to Boekelo from Team Ireland.
Who?
Sam Watson, Ballyneety Rocket Man, makes the step up to 4-star long level. Actually, Dee, we had an interesting conversation with Sam over the last few weeks, and I'm pretty certain he actually said it on the podcast. He was going to Boekelo with sort of his own personal goals in mind, in terms of very much an analytical look at finishing scores as to where he wanted to be. And I think it was a sub 40 finishing score. So wherever that leaves him in the placings, he'll be happy, but that was the target.
Yeah. It's a really interesting horse, strong horse. Like he'll have plenty of. I mean, you look at Sam's cross country round at Burley on Talisman, heartbreak dressage, and it's a heartbreak show jumping, and you get this amazing. Like I felt it was a bit wild.
He held the dressage together,
but it wasn't wild in a dangerous way. It was wild in a like, oh my god, they're going so fast. But he stayed at that for the whole way around. It wasn't like, it didn't feel out of control. It just felt wild. And actually, Rocket Man is probably coming from a similar enough like cut of a horse, I would say, which is that like they'll do like it's not going to be. I wouldn't expect it to be poles down on the final day. And I think a sub 40 finishing score is very achievable. But he rides cross country horses, and God knows we talk about it on this podcast a lot. If you only ride cross-country horses, you got to wait for a wet Boekelo, or you got to pray for a wet Badminton. These horses that he has are Badminton and Burley horses. And the wetter and the harder those Badminton and Burleys, the better. A dry ground Boekelo, he'll be all right. It'll be good for the horse. He'll get qualified for next summer. He'll be right in there in Paris contention as long as he kind of stays on track. But where you'll see this horse shine is on the challenging cross-country day. That's the type of horse he rides. I think he, as a rider, he won't listen to this, so it doesn't matter. I think as a rider, I think he should ride a more of a first phase horse. Just go where the sport is. I know he wants to change it, and I know we talk about Z lines and we talk about cross-country influence. The horse is bolted, so to speak. He needs to just get on a horse that can do a first phase score. Look at the horses that we're talking about winning this. Like we're talking about the Capo, thank God it's a dry Boekelo, and Nicole, first phase. We'll see. I think Sam will do great. Sub 40, I'll be proud of him. He'll be great, but he should be like, we should be trying to get him a horse that goes sub 30. and he'll take him around the cross country, and he can go and challenge the top ones. There's no reason why he shouldn't. But we got to get him. We got to get him not away from Rocket Man. But Rocket Man's totally grand. But we can't keep waiting for wet Boekelos and wet. I just need to get that fella a horse that he can train as a first phase. He's well able. Like he's good first phase riders. Even Bushman was delivering. Like Bushman's done 25s. Spike, you remember Bushman? Like the tests the tests he's been able to get out horse. Like he's well able to do it. He did do a sub 25. I can see you shaking your head, Nicole. Bushman did a sub 25 or at 25 back in Campfire. So that happened.
I was going to say, I think Sam has had a pretty small select string, particularly over the last couple of years. There's been a bit of a changing of the guard in his string with the likes of Imperial Sky and Telebec Flamenco kind of moving on.
He could do it dressage. That horse could do it.
But I think there is space in Sam's yard for another big superstar. Watch this.
Well, we keep saying we're going to try and find him one.
I know.
We need to get
there we go,
it,
listeners.
Like, you know what I mean?
We do need to make this happen. Can we just pick up on the fact that actually this weekend is also the final for the FEI Nations Cup series this year? Now, it feels really sort of mad because all we've talked about all year is Paris tickets that are on offer, etc., etc. And it feels, I'm not going to lie, for everybody but Italy, who are obviously going to be delighted, it feels quite anticlimactic because it's actually already been decided. So basically, Belgium and the Netherlands qualified at the European Championships, which left the battle for the final place really between Italy and Spain. So basically, it had to be the highest placed team in the Nations Cup rankings that hadn't already got a qualifying ticket would pick one up at the end of the Nations Cup series, of which the final is at Boekelo. And really, Italy and Spain were the two kind of left in it. Austria sort of weren't kind of competitive enough and things like that. However, Spain haven't even got a team here. They've not even got an individual here. So Italy, by default, cannot be beaten and therefore have secured the Paris Olympic qualification ticket. So big relief off their shoulders. Does mean that the kind of the Nations Cup event in itself, well, going to be very exciting, actually. The Olympic element of it is decided. Italy have actually got some nice horses here. They've got Giovanni Galotti, Billy Hennessy, which is a new ride for him, which is a really exciting one. Evelina Bertoli actually has Quick Joe, who's been a big part of that Nations Cup campaign over the last few months as well. I'm going to move quite quickly on because I'm very aware that we've got so many horses to talk about. And
sorry,
flag up.
Nicole, I always giggle myself that you're so into your Nations Cup because you've been sat there watching all of these.
I've watched Nations Cup all years, Mike. Watched Nations Cup all years. But do you know what? I'm going to give you
the obscure Italians horses that have done a great job at the Nations Cups that no one's quite been aware of.
Well, do you know what? They've actually done a good job because they've made it happen for Italy. But I'm going to give you another random Nations Cup-esque tangent. Felix Vogue, Deo de Lucien are third on the Prediction Centre. You might be asking, who is Deo de Lucien, listeners? Because I asked myself the very same question earlier on this year. Only stepped up to 4-star level back at Marbach in May and actually went very well for a 4th place finish in a very, very competitive 4-star short. That class was actually won by Fisher Chipmunk, and he finished 4th behind Julia Iro de Cantre and Marlin Hansen Hotop, Carlitos Quidditch K, who are the Blenheim winners, but then went to Avanches and should have won the Nations Cup in Avanches, apart from, and I don't think Felix Vogue listens to the programme, but if he does, Felix, I'm sorry, you probably agree with me, he had an absolute miss at the final fence in the show jumping, had it down, and it was very, very costly. The win went to another horse in this field, which is a French horse, Raphael Cochet, Difter de Very, who went very well there to take the top spot. And that leads me really nicely on to talk about what I think is a very, very strong French contingent here, because they've actually brought out some really, really interesting combinations. Nicolas Touzon, Diablo Month, that's the horse that actually we were kind of putting up as the one that was going to potentially step into the shoes of Absolute Gold at potentially even at the Europeans, but went very, very well at Chatsworth. Nicolas Touzon, of course, a former European champion, badminton winner, an absolute stalwart of the French squad. And I'm really excited to see that horse here. And they've also got Totem de Bressy, Christopher Cease, who were top 10 in Tokyo and top 10 at a European Championships, are out here in the 4-star long, again, looking to get that qualification box ticked done and dusted. So I think the French are very interesting.
Oh,
Totally
yeah,
agree.
I totally agree with you about Nicolas Touzon's horse. I think that's a very interesting horse, and I think that comes under the heading of I think it's that sneaky French. It's running like 1-4 short this year, but it's probably been running around their national classes, which we find no hide or hair of them. But yeah, great record. And of what we can see of it, so I'd spotted that as a sneaky. I think that's I would say strong top 10 contender, capable of sub 30 dressage, fast horse, jumps. So and it's got a super record, like it's mental. It's FEI record. It's barely been out of the top 10.
It's absolutely, man. Have you got it there, Nicole? Can you call out the ones?
Okay, basically, so Diablo Month, 10-year-old, was the individual bronze medalist at Le Lion as a 7-year-old back in 2020, so took third there. Has since
no one went there in 2020. So
no, I mean 2020 was the year that was won by Sweetwater Zayathan, finished second behind another French rider. So Chatsworth this year, they were phenomenal. They jumped a double clear in really tough conditions and were one of the fastest rounds of the day. I mean, they had 15.6 time penalties. I think the quickest was about 12. So they were pretty up there. They were second at Lignières in the long format 4-star last year. They've been third at Saumur previously, actually. They were third at Saumur in 2022 behind...
that's the standout result. That's the one that makes you think for me that they
beat Zaragoza in that class of Gaspard Maxudes.
Yeah, that was a strong class, wasn't it? And
and it's a 4-star long to go, and third at Saumur. That's where you talked about it, Nicole. That's where Amand de Bonneville comes true.
I'm amazed that he's not higher up the prediction centre here. Like, he's got a 2% win chance. I am absolutely gobsmacked that he is not higher up.
Well, if nothing else, you absolutely love slagging off that prediction centre.
I don't slag it off. I just like to understand things.
You like to raise issues with it on air, but
can I just on a form line there?
Yeah,
the horse that beat it at Lignières last year is here.
Oh, who was that?
Move on to the Brits. Georgie Campbell. Even if she still counts as being British. Georgie Campbell and Global Quest won Lignières in September last year, beating Diablo Month. So there's quite an interesting, if we're talking about a sort of a side form to that, then why not? We wouldn't have all been sat here thinking that was a really obvious, combination to be putting out there. But that was a tough Lignières. I had a client that went there last year. It was wet. Cross country was tough. The time was impossible because of the ground. So it was that would have been a good class to win. Although a 45 finishing score doesn't seem like it. It hasn't done a lot the first half of this year, but it's run at Cornbury. It ran around Little Downham. Yes, it's had a run out, but clearly a talented horse. Good, strong combination. It'd be good to see Georgie go well. So there we are. Just thought I'd pull out a form line there that we're talking up Nicolas Touzon's horse, but we have got the horse that beat it a year ago in a 4-long, also in the competition.
I like that. Can I actually throw it back to, if I'm going for a tenuous link, another horse that's won a 4-star long in Lignières, but Maxime Livio, Appy de la Bear, top 10 at the Europeans in Avanche. We're actually sick there, but the bit I'm picking out, in Avanche, they scored a 21.3 in the first phase, which had them well in touch with the leaders. I think Hale Bob was on a 20.2 and sort of led the way, but he was right in touch. That was a very, very low score. If he can get low like that this weekend, he's got to be in with a shout. Can have a pole on the final day, which would be a bit of a question mark, but that's got to be a horse that we throw into the mix here as a challenger for the top spot.
Yeah, won at Jardy in July in the 4 short. I think there's I'd spied that as what happens here is I keep like spying horses that I can pull out the bag as a dark horse, but then Nicole keeps mentioning them.
Can we D, where do you want to go? I'm going to give you an option. New Zealand or the United States of America?
Talk to me about that US team that you said was interesting. But yeah, I'm going to give you questions about it to make it more fun for me.
You ask me the questions and I'll do my best to...
Okay. In 3 words, describe the US team at Boekelo 2023 in 3 words.
Talented.
Bland,
unproven.
Interesting.
Wild cards.
Really covered all the bases there, haven't you?
Yeah. They're talented. They were. Because I feel like there's a bit of kind of proof to be had at the 4-star long level. So Philip Dutton has Denim, who's only an 8-year-old, was produced by Merrill Blom-Holzman. And then Philip took on the ride and went very, very well at Le Lyon last year for a top 10 finish. And I think one of the best finishing scores in US history at Le Lyon d'Angers as well. First 4-star long for that horse. We haven't seen a huge amount of them at the 4-star short level, but certainly everything they have done, they've done well. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. Philip obviously very experienced, but the horse much less so, and only an 8-year-old as well.
It's not stepped up to 4-star particularly well this year, though, has it? Dressage wise, 34 and 34. Interesting that it was very successful at 3. I'm not saying it can't, but just looking at its form.
It's one of those things, though. I would say if you're looking at an 8-year-old stepping up to 4-star dressage, have they got the changes? I haven't seen it. I'm looking forward to seeing it because that could be a big old sort of question mark as to where those marks might be disappearing out the side door. I don't know.
No, totally agree.
James, Alliston and Karma have had brilliant form on the West Coast. I think went very, very well. Again, only a 9-year-old mare, so not overly experienced. But I think the thing for me is that they're kind of coming out into a different kind of pool of horses by coming over to Europe, and that's really exciting. They actually have won at this level. They won the 4-star long at Rebecca Farm this year, finished on a 32.6. Very, very different standard of field that they're going to see here. By comparison, I think there were 14 in the 4-star long at Rebecca Farm compared to 114 at Boekelo. So, a step up in field and class, but they've not done anything wrong. They've actually, I think that horse, since it's only done 6 international runs, got eliminated in the first one. So in his last 5, he's been finished on his dressage score in 4 of them, jumped double clear in the other with like 4.8 time penalties. So hasn't done anything wrong, but it's a big step up. So that's why I'm saying there. Then they have got Cassie Sanger, Fernhill Zorro, who came over to Stragon, made their Nations Cup debut, first kind of big 4-star on European soil for them. It's another big trip for them, and I think they'll have learned from Stragon. They jumped brilliant kind of performances in the jumping. Could do with losing a few marks off the dressage if they're going to be competitive here. But again, it's a nice one. They've got Hallie Kuhn and Cute Girl, horse that was a 7-year-old young horse world champion. That horse isn't in the Nations Cup team. They're competing as an individual. The other Nations Cup team member is Jenny Brannigan and Connery, and she very much feels that this horse kind of coming over. Big step up and bit of a kind of learning curve. So yeah, they've got some really nice horses.
I tell you they're bold, aren't they?
Yeah, but they can be. They can be.
Say wild cards. While you were talking, I was listening, honestly, but just looking through their records, like half of the ones you just mentioned haven't even got round the cross country. The last 4-star they've run rounds, and they're travelling across the world to run in at Boekelo. Just seems, I mean, they're bold. They obviously believe in their horses.
Boekelo's always been a kind of a test venue for US. Like it's linked to some of their grants, so that when they fly, like it's not just the team. Like there will be a US contingent because of the place that it has in the calendar. I think they often will make funding available as your European furlong, as your experienced European furlong. But
I mean, I would say you say bold, Spike, but actually, like Cassie Sanger and Fernhill Zorro didn't get round their last cross country at 4-star level. However, prior to that, they had barely been out of the top 10 going back to 2018.
Well, Jenny Brannigan didn't get round a 4-star long in July and didn't get round a 4 short in September.
Don't slag Jenny Brannigan because
I'm not. I'm not slagging any of these individually. I'm just saying Nicole, it's interesting.
Jenny, go and listen to Jenny Brannigan on the USCA official podcast this week. Listeners, tune in, find out all her thoughts on Boekelo.
Maybe I have.
Maybe you should go and find out. She actually, She was pretty candid about the horse and kind of bringing the horse over, and said was a big step up, but actually wouldn't be bringing him. She didn't think ready.
She wouldn't be bringing him if someone else wasn't paying for it, I would suggest.
Spike!
And you know what?
Spicy Spike! That's what we're going to call you tonight.
Words from you, for you. She said, if that Peter Milligan is on the pod,
he can jog on.
Yeah.
Right. Let's deal with the prices, because actually we could be looking at the winners. Tim Price won here 12 months ago with Happy Boy. He lines up with Girillo, who was third at Blenheim in the 8 and 9-year-old class. Looked unbelievably smart there. If you want to watch something fun, listeners, go and watch this horse show jump on Sunday, because, oh my God, it can seriously jump. It's insane. Janelle Price has 2 rides, Sinor Crocodillo, but also Clever Louis, who was actually, I think, second here with Chris Burton a few years ago. The year that the horse also won the 8 and 9-year-old class at Blenheim. And that's a new partnership this year. Not quite sure. I'm interested to see where it's going to go, to be honest.
I think that's very interesting. That's the interesting one for me. Clever Louis was a great horse with Berto, wasn't he?
Yeah, brilliant.
Senor Crocodillo is in a slightly different spotlight. They'll be further back in their journey. But Clever Louis is a pretty proven horse, well able for it at this level.
Yeah, tricky horse though. Not wanting to put words, but my understanding is that Bobby couldn't hold it. It was strong as an ox, real strong. And yeah, Janelle's a genius cross-country rider, and she went nice and steady and got a load of time faults at Little Downham on it. But it'll be interesting. She's based down there. She got Chris Burton presumably to tell her how to push the buttons and hold tight. I don't know, but yeah, big question mark there. Do we think she's going to put it? Maybe she'd go and win it. I would never underestimate the price.
She's not going to win it, and neither is Tim. That's not going to happen.
Tim could.
Tim could. Tim could. I disagree. Tim could.
Smart horse.
I would just say,
never underestimate the way Tim produces these horses. Look at Happy Boy.
I'm not underestimating.
Look at the way that he look at the way Falco got produced as well. He wouldn't have been blindingly obvious either till he's gone, right, this is the day. And I could see if De Capo's not on it, if De Capo has a 20, I would say I'd have Tim second. Oh, I'm going to have Tim second, but I would have Tim as the one chasing it down.
Girillo is like seriously all of the ingredients, and I know they have kind of been producing this horse very much with this kind of targets in mind. And actually, Falco is probably going to be Tim's first choice going into Paris next year, but this horse is going to be well on his way to kind of throwing his name into the mix if he runs well this weekend, because he's not actually done anything wrong. He's just not done a huge amount. Second in Kililkey in the 4-star short, actually finished behind Janelle and Senor Crocodillo there, I think. I'm interested to see this. I would say, going back to Clever Louis very quickly, hasn't had less than 20 time faults in an international run cross country since he went inside the time at Bicton with Berto back in 2021.
With a 15, isn't it? That's what stuff him going to the Olympics.
Girillo's a bit young for to be next in line. Tim has about...
I don't know. You would look at Tim's string. Happy Boy is probably going to be the next one.
Happy Boy's 11. Coup de Coeur du Devant, is that okay? We don't know.
Haven't seen it since it sort of went to start at badminton. Haven't actually looked at it out nationally, but I don't think it has.
No, it hasn't. No.
Okay, so we'll take that one out. Happy Boy, though. What about Vitali? Is that one still on the list?
They won't take Vitali to another Olympics, I don't think. They would if they had nothing else, but I don't think they're going to.
Girillo and Happy Boy would be the two you would be picking. Well,
Falco.
Girillo and Falco. That's
Falco's the number one, isn't he?
Falco would be the number one.
Then Happy Boy, then Girillo.
Yeah, the one thing I would say with...
We'll see what the autumn does. Happy Boy can go and win Pie.
So then it'd be Happy Boy. But Girillo's going to be number 3 because Girillo's only 9.
Well, that doesn't mean...
Got to jump twice.
10 next year.
It's going to be a 3.5-star cross country. It's got to show jump twice.
And Girillo can seriously show jump.
Not as well as Falco.
Falco can show jump, to be fair.
Tim with everything.
It's exciting. Who else is there? Who does anybody else want to talk about? There's...
Are we allowed to talk about some of the Brits now?
Yeah, go for it.
Or if everyone else just... How long do you think it'll be? Because we could make tea and so we can actually get a few jobs done now. How long do you want?
To be honest, just only need a couple of minutes. Yazing and
I'll
Rihi
give you-
DJ, fourth here
Yazing
previously.
and Rehi DJ, I think.
Okay, I'll listen to that. Fill your boots. Right, let's do that.
I think that's a great. They went great here at Boekelo last year. They don't know if you remember. I don't know whether it came. She had she was on the Nations Cup team, but it fell over after the trot up or something, didn't it? It had slipped over and banged itself. So before the trot, something happened which meant that she didn't go on the Nations Cup team. But they did a super job of looking after it, and it still ran brilliantly. It went really well at Le Moulin. She obviously doesn't think it's quite a 5-star horse, a Burley Badminton horse. Back to Boekelo. It could easily finish on a 26, 27 dressage, and I'd have it in the top 5. I think, that might be enough for a podium even. So I think they'll go really well, be a really good team player for the Nations Cup team. And another horse I really love is Cooley Snapchat of Selena Milne. That is another brilliant jumping horse. I remember seeing it jump in the 7-year-olds at Le Lion, watching the live stream, and it was just giving everything a foot. I mean, it was a serious jumping horse. Selena's a brilliant jockey, great producer of horses. And I would say that I'd love to see them get a really good result here. And it is very capable. It does move. It is capable. Admittedly, it's a sort of a high 20s sort of dressage, but it is very capable on its day. Only a 9-year-old, so ready to go. 5th at Blenheim, lovely prep. They would be 2 strong shout outs amongst some other nice ones. But Deal, tell me off for talking too much if I keep going.
I wouldn't. I'm a big fan of both those horses. I think Ray DJ is probably be on my podium picks now in a minute. What about Caroline Harris? Are you putting her up?
E-Day.
Yeah, good show.
Proper cool little pocket rocket, this horse. 4th at Blenheim in the 8 and 9-year-old class. Actually completed a 4-star long at Mill Street earlier on this year. Took a steady cross country, but can be sort of mid-ish 20s, sort of 26, 27 territory. So definitely one to
and that'll be plenty here by the looks of things, won't it?
Yeah, it's not going to be a million miles away.
And really good, pretty good show jumper. I mean, they had a bit of a mare at Chatsworth, but everyone did.
Everybody had a mare at Chatsworth, to be fair.
The 2 down at Mill Street, but they jumped clear in their last 2 outings, Harpery and Blenheim.
Yep. The other one, Spike, I don't know what you think about this, but Ros Cantor.
MHS 17.
Yeah, the FEI World number 1. We should be talking about MHS 17, I think.
Yeah, I totally. The form doesn't scream that it's about to give us a great result. She's obviously having a bit of, adjustment, getting to know it. Her form does, yeah, but I would say the horse's form, and I think it's, she's had it about a year now, hasn't she? After taking it on from Nicola. She's obviously had a bit of getting to know you, had a couple of run-outs at Bramham. She's done 3-4 shorts since then and gone well, went well at Blair, which is, interesting place to take the horse. Obviously got great faith in it from the point of view, it's sort of, endurance and gallop, to even be considering a Blair. To me, it looks like it's a sort of a dressage around 30 that, and it jumps and gallops, and just not quite sure if I see it quite at the sharpest end of the stick, but there you go.
I tell you what, if that was Brannigan, he would have been a hard runner. Really? That's the difference. That's what you Brits do for other Brits.
Really? I mean, in the last 4, it's gone to Aston, Bergam and Blair and gone clear cross country. I mean, that would seem like a reasonably decent prep before going to a 4 long, but I mean, maybe I'm just doing it wrong.
You kind of skirt over any issues that these horses have.
Well, I just said it had 2 run-outs at Bramham in a getting to know you kind of scenario, but has since gone exactly 3-4 stars, including Blair.
Who else has she got? She has another one there as well, doesn't she?
She has, Dasik done.
Well,
he's so cool.
So cool.
He's not going to be competitive, is he? But he's the most awesome horse. I mean, I'm not going to call it a pocket rocket because Nicole likes calling lots of them that. But Little Mouse is brilliant, and Sarah, horse that was previously ridden by Sarah Way and did Poe, and is now just enjoying life with Ros, and hopefully will go really well. I think he's 17 now.
Yeah,
maybe not got too many runs left, but I mean, we should all be cheering from the sidelines for Mouse to go well. He's really cool.
Agree.
I think, Spike, anything that is sort of sub 15-2, got a bit of feistiness and character and heart, which these horses have to have, are very worthy of the pocket rocket moniker.
We're nearly ready for our podiums, I think.
I've got one more to throw in to watch for Team GB.
or for Team GB. Let me see if I can guess it.
Go on, have a guess. See if you can guess it.
Right.
Don't know if you will.
Okay, so we've done Cantor. We have done Harris. Okay.
Can I try and guess who you're going to mention, Nicole?
Yeah,
Just come out and say it.
Storm Straker and Fever Pitch went really well at plenty of 8-9-year-olds.
Wasn't actually.
I thought you were going to.
Mine is an
Wait,
8-year-old.
Oh, hang on.
Come on, D.
Wait, there's 114 people that I've got to get through when we're having these conversations. It's Julian Norman.
Nope.
Very
She's
good
not
interview
British
with her.
anyway.
Worth giving her a shout out to here with those Zimbabwean flags.
She sounded British on the podcast I listened to.
She is. Her mum was born in Zimbabwe. Was she born in Zimbabwe?
I'm a big fan of the Julie Norman pod. What was that on?
When Nicole met. Lovely girl. Really, really, really nice, talented, hardworking individual. Really like
she
her.
seemed very sound. You're going to talk about a little horse ridden by Rachel Rendell called Ballywand. Go on.
Shall I just put you out of your misery, D, and say that I am going to talk about Izzy
Alexander
Taylor, SPH Hewell. No, Izzy Taylor, SPH Big Wall.
You're not.
All I'm saying, they were 4th at Lillian last year in the Young Horse World Championships. They've only completed one 4-star short. I'm
going to get all feisty Spike again. Izzy just doesn't seem to mind if they don't get round the cross country. She just goes again.
Izzy has to be one of the toughest, hardiest.
No matter not getting round Blenheim, I'm going to take it to Boekelo.
It didn't go to Blenheim, to be fair. It did, but it was withdrawn. It didn't run.
Oh, was it? Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, didn't run. So it's only done one 4-star short, and it's obviously going to Boekelo. Big step up, but finished on a 25.5 or something at Lillian last year. Yeah. Izzy's had a really tough season, and you often talk about riders riding a wave of confidence, and when the results come, they keep on coming, like with Roz, an MHS 17. Izzy's not had a season where everything's gone her way, so look, one to watch this weekend. It's a very, very cool young horse. Big step up this weekend. Right, podium.
Wait, before we do podium, we'll do a head-to-head battle. I know you don't like betting, Nicole, but if you'd like to be in, you can be in.
I'll bet, why not? In for a penny, in for a pound, listeners.
Nicole, as part of this bet, I'm going to give you
Sam Watson, Bally.
Nicole, I'm going to give you Ros Cantor and Dasset Cooley Dunn. Peter, I'm going to give you your pal Giovanni Uglotti and Billy Hennessy, and I'm going to take Sam Watson, Balliniti, Rocketman. And the three of those go head to head, and the one that finishes bottom of the three, they have to send on Amazon a present to the other two people's children to the value of £15. Are you in? You'll have to organize the hassle.
I feel like you've given yourself the best shot here, but yes.
But that's fine.
Well, I picked them all off the prediction centre. They're all beside each other. Actually, if I'm honest, Ros Cantor's a bit higher.
I'll take it.
Yeah, so you're shouting.
We're in.
No, I'm in.
I'm shouting for Sam, and you're shouting for Gio.
Yep.
And the person who finishes bottom buys the presents.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that.
There'll probably be some sort of reverse.
All three of them are eliminated, and we'll be like,
And what do we do now? How far did they get around the cross country?
I don't even think we'll remember this. It doesn't matter.
We will. Right. Podium. Spike, top 3 in a dark horse, please.
Dark horse is very difficult now that we've literally talked about half the field. But
we haven't.
I will go with, I keep my faith in Da Capo. He's brilliant at this level. So Laura Collett and Da Capo to win. Tim Price and Girillo to be second, and Yaz Ingham and Rehi DJ to come third. And let's go with, can I, as my dark horse, have Lara Dalida Kirkamaya and all three of her horses?
You can't have all three, but I can't believe we've not spoken about the rider who has more international wins in the world this year than any other rider.
I would go with, it's not a dark horse picking Ducati Darville because they've achieved so much together, but considering we've not mentioned them, then I will quite happily have Ducati as my dark horse.
Yeah, I'm on the radar. I'm on the fence. There's a cheeky dark horse, but you're right, they weren't mentioned. They should have been.
Oh, actually, I can get. There's another Belgian dark horse as well, but you maybe.
I've probably just seen that one. Yeah.
No, I'll stick with Lara. I like that. They've achieved loads together as a combination, so I think they're worthy of a mention and happily see them in the top 10.
I love finding dark horses, by going through my little database here and going to horses that I've never seen and then sticking their name into my little results and praying to God that I'm like, that'd be a good dark horse to pick. Anyway, the ones I'm putting in here are like 50 dressage, 50, 41, 45, 50. Like, you haven't heard of them because there's 114 people in this. I think, Spike, you've done a really good podium there. I'm interested in it. I do think, however, Julia Krajewski, oh God, will she go for it? Yeah, she'll go for it. She'll win it. Nickel 21, De Capo, Noah, Felix Vogue, Dow del Lochamp come second. And actually, I'm going to put Nickel second and Felix Vogue third. So Julia Krajewski second and Felix Vogue third.
And then who wins?
The winner of Boekelo 2023, creating a very big form line and likely, I think, to become a hero next summer in his home Olympics. You want to be on board with Nicolas Touzon and Diablo Mont, and this is the weekend to be on board with them. Highly rated 10-year-old. We talked about them on the show. I think a lot of people will have heard of Diablo Mont now, but if they haven't heard about them by now, they'll definitely know about them soon.
Good shout.
Dark horse.
I really like them. The dark horse here is Dark Desire, Emma Brasso.
Nice. Okay, I am going to say that the win is going to go to Laura Collett De Capo. Second is going to be Maxime Livio, Appy de Lubert.
Good shout.
Third is going to be Tim Price and Jarillo. I'm actually going to say Yulia Krajewski, Yazingham, fourth and fifth, but that's,
Hey, where's Diablo Mont?
Oh God, I don't know actually. It's a really, really good field. My dark horse is going to be, I wanted to actually pick one of the Dutch riders because it's their national championships as well. So I'm actually going to put
Mara Blams.
Oh, that was who I was looking at. She's won the Dutch title here before.
Houdini, Raf Koerman?
No. The other one I was just looking at is Janneke Boonskaya, who's had a really, really good season. It's not the horse that she rode at the Europeans. So I just wanted to have a sneaky look at I'm Special N before I committed. 10-year-old by I'm Special to Muse. Go on, I'll say Janneke Boonskaya, I'm Special N. They will take the Dutch national championship as the highest placed Dutch combination.
Good shout.
Listeners, nothing like
7 years on.
7 years on, nothing's changed. Jolly good, hour and 20 chinwag about all things Boekelo. It's been a pleasure. No, on a serious note, it is hard to believe that it is 7 years, but thank you very, very, very much. Because if you had told us 7 years ago that one would still be going, two, that it would have grown quite so much that it has, we would have all thought you were completely and utterly mad. So we're very, very grateful for all of the support. We really appreciate it. And yeah, we've still got plenty coming your way actually over the next few weeks because there is lots in store for Maryland. We have got Poe. There will be Lilian Danger as well. There's some fun interviews in the pipeline. And if there is anybody in particular you would like to hear on the podcast, please let us know. Spike, there must be a new hold box coming soon.
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? I've got another.
Not a whole box, a feed room. Trip
coming.
to the feed room with your chandelier.
I've got a feed room coming on a subject that actually I know very little about.
Kissing spines.
Fascinating one for both me and the listeners.
What is it on? Can you give us a hit? Anyone who's invested an hour and a half in Boekelo deserves a little
preview on what it's going to be about.
Well, a hint at least. Like, give us. It's hard to sell with just the.
So it's going to be on the subject of the equine microbiome, which is this new area of research about the basically the bacteria that live in the intestine of horses, and learning more about that and learning about the sort of the DNA level of what's going on in there. So yeah, real cutting edge research. And
would you be interested in that from a human point of view?
No.
Either of you. Would you know much? Would you?
So, but yeah, no, real sort of like cutting edge stuff. And we've got a real expert coming on through the guys at Red Mills. So looking forward to recording that in the coming weeks.
That sounds good. I will actually
watch this space. Dee, there'll be an Alphabetti coming soon too, won't there?
I understand, Nicole, that we're missing now is a date.
A host.
That actually we've got people lined. No, I'm ready. I'm available. We just need to get that locked in. But what letter are we on?
I want to say O.
Oh.
No, we're on a P. I did O. I hosted O.
That was obviously
with
good.
Giovanni and Lucy.
Oh, okay. So we're on P.
LMNOP. Yeah, brilliant. Let's
Great.
do it.
Watch this space.
P is coming.
Who have we got coming up on When Nicole Met show with Tom Crisp? That will be coming your way very, very soon. Find out what it feels like to go viral for falling in the lake at badminton. Plus,
good release. Go on.
I was going to say there's a couple of others in the pipeline that are a bit secret at the moment, but will be.
Here, Nicole. Here, Spike. Again, like people, don't worry. There's only a couple. There's barely anyone left listening.
Barely anyone left now.
Yeah, they're all, everyone put this on before they go to sleep, and they're all asleep now, for sure.
We're in their dreams, which is probably more horrifying for them. Nightmares.
I've got some exciting news to announce.
Go on then.
Don't give out now. We've been doing some good planning for next summer, haven't we, Nicole?
We have been doing some good planning for next summer.
There's gonna be a big party next summer. Everything else TBC. But
watch this space, listeners.
We're doing
something that has been in the pipeline for a little while might finally come to fruition.
It's actually going to be class. So, what day is the Olympics?
It's the end of July, beginning of August, isn't it?
Right. Keep that free.
And a bit before it for you listeners.
And a bit before it. Because we...
Watch this space. There's going to be something coming.
Something good. But something big. Like there's actually been... How many... There's been 2 meetings already.
Yeah.
And that,
now I've just got to make stuff happen, listeners.
That means stuff's getting serious.
On that note.
That's all it is.
And on that bombshell, that is all we've got time for. Listeners, an absolute pleasure. As always, Dee, Spike, thoroughly enjoyed a lovely preview show with you both. And we'll be back with lots more coming your way very soon, listeners. But most of all, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all of the support. And stick with us because we have got lots more in store, as Dee has just alluded to. Watch this space. Welcome to Quickfire Questions with Fairfax and Favour, where we will be putting some quickfire questions, as the name might suggest, to some of the best riders in the business. And today's guest is the 2020 USCA Leading Rider of the Year. It is Liz Halliday-Sharp. Liz, are you ready?
I'm ready.
What was your favourite event?
Boekelo, 100%.
What Fairfax and Favour boot would you wear to a trot up?
Well, that's a big question because I wear a lot of different ones, but my main go-tos would be the heeled Regina, the Amira, and of course the Kensington as well.
What is the best piece of advice that you have ever been given?
It was actually from my dad, who told me to never be afraid to take risks.
What was your first ever Blue Box delivery?
It was a beautiful pair of navy blue heeled Regina boots.
Liz Halliday-Sharp, thank you very much for going under our quickfire questions with Fairfax and Favour.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.